Every time.
Every time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a minute, but welcome back to It's Cool Us Too, the podcast for women in their 30s who are trying to build their life on their timeline by their rules and their way. This feels so good to be back.
What an episode to start with, honestly. We say this about every guest, but honestly, they are all incredibly inspiring. And when I did my pre-call with Colleen, she'll hear this now. I was so intimidated by her because she's so articulate. And also I was like, she's famous to me because
she is famous.
She is famous on Instagram and TikTok because I'd seen all of her TikToks and I was like, how do you know what's going on inside my brain? How are you aware?
I want to be her when I grow up, even though I feel like we may be older than her or the same age. And no, like I said before, and I said it at the end, like I have never felt more seen as a leader than I am when I watch her content. So I feel like we've just gone backwards. I've told people we're having this person on. Her name's Colleen, but anyways, yeah.
Her name's Colleen. She has a really interesting background. So she worked for like 12 plus years at Deloitte and was sort of on track to become a partner.
Yep.
And actually I didn't realize this, like her background, she says she's sort of like a quasi creative turned corporate leader. And she started her own Instagram, kind of related to some of the challenges she was having as a woman moving into corporate and the things that she felt like she was having to push down or that weren't, that she didn't know how to like celebrate or embrace as a leader. So she started a TikTok and Instagram associated with that. And it's just like completely blown up. And now she's got her very own, she left Deloitte. She's got her very own business that's thriving, where she coaches not just women, but anyone really who's navigating what it means to be a leader right now. So obviously this is incredibly relevant for Nicole and I, but anyone within any industry that is reckoning with this idea of moving from being an individual contributor into management of any sort, or anyone who's really looking to do anything different. Like she started her own business. She just like the home truths that it was crazy.
And she's very balanced. Like even the way she was empathizing and explaining and setting up, the younger generations who I think do get a bad rap. I'm very biased about that sometimes. Like she's very honest and like level sets like what is reality. So I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this episode. But before we do, because it has been Jesus Nicole. Yeah, it's been a minute. So Megan, is there anything going on in your life right now? Has there been any, I don't know, small developments, any exciting experiences that you want to share with the group?
Well, I was away for just over 2 weeks. I was in Marseille and I was in London, and I met with my Italian, well, I think I've called him my Italian boyfriend on the podcast before, but like the Italian man, British Italian man who I've been talking to for a couple years on and off. Anyways, long story short, he's my boyfriend now. He's my real boyfriend. And he has a name. His name is Ben. I'm going to use his actual name now.
Oh my gosh. You don't want privacy? My God.
Yes, he is the best. And yeah, we made it official while I was away. So it was like, I've been saying to Nicole was actually in Toronto staying with me for the last few days. And like, I am nauseating right now. Like I'm very much in love. So new era for Megan. She's never had a boyfriend. I don't know why I'm referring to myself in the third person.
You're doing what I do.
Yeah. But this is brand new for me. And I am, kind of like, it was interesting. Nicole and I chatted when I was in London after I'd made things official with Ben, and we're chatting about like I think at that point I was really struggling to like feel how excited I was, because I was just thinking about, the impact of obviously dating someone long distance, but also the impact of like introducing him to my friends and family and like making this official. And I think you had really good advice of just like, it's great that you're thinking about all of these things, but at the end of the day, like try to be present. So I've really been trying to be present, which has resulted in me being like goo goo gaga.
You're glowing.
I'm glowing.
I think that like as your friend, and I said this to you, and this is why I was able to give you the advice of like just be present. And I say this to someone who did intercontinental long distance at one point. So I also feel like I have a very different and maybe a different perspective on it. You are thinking about all the right things and you're contemplating and having the right conversations. And I don't feel like you're going into this blind. And I think that you being so responsible in that and being so mindful and open about that, and the two of you seemingly to have really great communication. I mean, I've never met him, so I'm so excited when he comes to be able to meet him. Better be good to you. I know he's listening, so I have questions for him when he comes. But I think because you're doing all that, I'm like, I have a lot more like confidence. Just be like, babe, just enjoy this. Like you're already thinking about it. You're not living in like Goo Goo Gaga land permanently. Like, but it's fun to live in Goo Goo Gaga land. So like enjoy being newly in a relationship. Enjoy the excitement of it. It's so fun.
It is. It is fun. But yeah, it's
just
been
a little baby development.
Yeah, just a little baby development. But I think for anyone who's curious as to like, why now? I think it just sort of got to a point where neither of us wanted to date other people. And like, it just feels very right. So if anyone else that's listening has gone through long distance and has any advice for me or has any perspectives to share, we'd love to hear them. But that's my big development. I'm back in Toronto now. Got to spend the last few days with Nicole. I'm actually sitting in her bedroom when she's here. So, yeah,
it was so nice too. I was saying to Meg, I normally come home to no one because I live alone. And it was so nice after like all these work days being able to come home, and like the first night I came home and like Tree and Julia were there and we got to like have some wine and hang out. And like then Tuesday night I came home and you were there. And it's just like so nice to have someone to talk to and be like, how was your day? And like, I know, kind of it was really socialize.
You like Nicole was super busy with work stuff and like at a conference, but you ended up going to a Jays game, and I was laughing because I was like, it kind of felt like we lived together in like a really fun way. Where like I went to Pilates, came home, made myself food, and I was just like scrolling and sitting on the couch eating. And I go onto Instagram and Nicole's like at the Jays game, and I'm like, dude, you're at the Jays game? Like what? Like crazy.
Yeah.
And she came home and we got to debrief, and yeah, I don't know.
Wild week.
It was really nice.
Wild week.
Yeah. Tell the listeners what's been going on with you.
Well, I'm single as a frickin' Pringle. So, I mean, it's funny. I made a joke to Meg the other day of like, I've been off the apps for a bit and I was thinking about getting back on them. But my response to her was, considering how much I'm going to be traveling and not going to be home for the next bit, I don't think I want to waste my capital getting back on the apps right now.
Yeah.
And like my energy, I'm gearing up for basically I've been traveling the last few weeks. Oh my gosh. Did I tell you I saw whales?
No.
Oh my God. How did I not tell you this in the 3.5 days I was with you?
No,
okay, so we had our board retreat. We took them to St. John's, Newfoundland. And it was great. I love St. John's. But one morning, we always like to do something a little bit unique on these retreats. And the Thursday morning, we woke everyone up. Everyone got on a bus at like 5:30 in the morning. And we bussed them out to Cape Spear, which is the easternmost point of North America. So it's the first place the sun hits in North America every day. And the destination like helped us like put a breakfast on outside, and you're literally on the ocean. There's a lighthouse that you can climb up to and all of this. And you're watching all of these humpback whales breach at sunrise. It was the most magical thing for me.
Did you
but
cry?
Yeah. Because they're my favorite kind of whales, Megan. And like, but it was so freaking cold that it was a challenge. Like we had an omelet station and the chefs kept having to like take the butane off the omelet stations and like warm them up in their jackets so they wouldn't like freeze. But it was just so cool. I love St. John's. Was in Toronto. I'm getting ready for Stampede. Then I'm going to Vancouver. Then I'm taking holidays. Like the production for my work is in full swing right now. So it is crazy, busy, nutso time right now. And I'll share more about this like project over the summer as it kind of keeps going. But yeah, my world is just a little bit crazy at the moment. I don't really have many updates, honestly. I will say at the beginning of this episode, when Colleen is talking, it looks like I'm crying, and I did have tears coming down my like right eye.
I was crying.
No, I had like water was leaking from my right eye because I have had the worst sinus headache today. And I just took some sinus pills, and I think they were like releasing all of the pressure, and it like just, I couldn't stop it. It was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. Like right now it's already like piling up again.
Well, if anyone thinks Nicole is crying at the beginning, just know.
I'm not.
She is not. She's leaking.
Ew.
I don't know. What else do you call it?
I don't know. There's no good way to go about this. Anyways, I feel like we should not keep the listeners.
Yeah. We're just excited to be doing this again. It's been a little while.
Back. We missed you guys, and I missed
missed you a lot.
And I missed you, Meg. You being gone this long is a challenge for me, which we'll just have to talk about maybe in couples therapy at some point. So it's fine.
Okay, yeah. Jot it down. We'll bring it up in our next session.
Brilliant. Okay, guys, we hope you enjoy. We love you so, so much. Please share this podcast with someone that you think could benefit from it. Please subscribe. That really helps us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And yeah, DM us. We love talking to you guys so, so, so much.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Welcome back to It's Cool Us Too. We are so pumped to have Colleen with us today. Colleen is the founder of Growth Inc. She's also a lot of other amazing things, and we're going to dive into that today. She spent 12 plus years building and leading multi-million-dollar businesses at Deloitte. So she's got the chops to chat to us a little bit about what it's like to be a leader in today's world, particularly as a woman, because I know with this audience, that's kind of what we're most interested in. And we're going to talk a little bit today about kind of how parts of the playbook in terms of being a leader are outdated and how we're seeing that play out in can we say middle management? Is that outdated these days? I don't know if we should say middle management. But yes, Colleen, we're so excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
So excited to be here. And I love talking about women in leadership and getting real about what we need to think about and do differently so that we can enjoy our careers a little bit more.
Amazing. Well, why don't we start with your corporate version of your bio? Like, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yes. So I am a Midwestern, Chicago-born person who relocated to Los Angeles. I've actually lived all over the US, but moved to Los Angeles for my husband's job in the early days of the pandemic. And I am a new mom. I have a baby that just turned 1 a week ago, which has been so fun. Also, like the highest highs, lowest lows for anybody who has been through their motherhood experience. And I built the business that is now my full-time role as a side hustle on the side of my desk at Deloitte, specifically serving women in leadership, because I recognized that some of the challenges I was facing in my career at Deloitte that I thought were a me problem, that I just like lacked confidence or that I just couldn't figure it out, were actually universal experiences that so many women were facing in specific corporate careers. And that's what really led me to found Growth Inc. to really help address some of the unmet learning needs and help women build the skills they needed to really be as successful as they wanted to be without changing everything about who they were. And then over time, now that I have sort of left Deloitte and am doing this full time, I'm now serving the workforce more broadly. Meg, your point about like middle management, I define middle management as anybody who is not an individual contributor or the CEO. And so really servicing people that are finding themselves running into challenges day in and day out as it relates to dealing with uncertainty and pressure in people. And I love using my sense of humor on social media as part of my digital marketing strategy, which is what brought us together. Saying what
Well, I was going to say,
or can say at work, but we all feel and struggle with every single day.
yeah, I should have started with this because what brought Colleen to us was
Her
Nicole and I
TikTok.
incessantly sharing Colleen's TikToks between, like, it was crazy because I mean, first of all, we talked about this when I got a chance to do a pre-call with you, but like, I love the approach you have. So for anyone watching this, you might even recognize Colleen because you might have seen her TikToks, but she's looking directly at a screen. So it looks like you're on a Zoom meeting or like a Teams meeting or whatever platform you use. And you're just like spitting straight truths. Like, I'm like, oh man, I wish I could be that, like, not cutting, that's not direct, with people from work. It's amazing. So I'm so glad
I've never
you're willing to do
felt
this.
more seen on
Honestly.
a TikTok in my life.
It's
I'm like,
crazy.
this is my inner monologue in TikTok form.
Especially when you say, like, it comes up a lot in your videos where you'll say something along the lines of like, I haven't even had a chance to go to the bathroom today. And I'm like, yes, that. Why is it so hard to find time to go to the bathroom?
But like, all I want to do is just like eat a piece of cheese, like something.
Sustenance?
That was my day to day. I literally was shoveling. So I got home from the airport, ordered Uber Eats in the car on the way home, had to immediately jump on a call, went on mute to go pick up my order, left it here. 2 calls later, I got to finally sit down and eat it. I got 15 minutes, like, which I thought was a luxury at that point, and then had to jump on another call. Like, it was just, so yeah, it's wonderful what you're doing.
Yeah, it really is. And like, I want to hear a little bit more about like what you were experiencing at Deloitte, but I do just want to commend you for you really, this is the right time for this. Like, I feel like every single one of the friends that I'm, we're 37. I always think I'm 35. It's like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm 35. I'm 37. But so many of the friends that we have, we're having the same conversation of like, is it supposed to feel like this? Like, why does it feel like this all the time? Why are we hustling so hard? Or why does it not feel like we're making progress? Like, how do you lead teams? No one's really taught you how to do that. So I just want to commend you. Like, your timing is impeccable. And it sounds like you started this several years ago, but it's definitely what we and our friends are talking about.
Totally. And I think about this, I talk about this a lot with my friends, this sort of like millennial girl boss hangover that you sort of graduated from college, came into your career, and you're like, oh my God, the pile of possibilities. Like, I can be anything I want to be. I'm going to go out there and prove that I am amazing, that I can do anything a man can do and better. And then you did it, right? You like killed it. And then all of a sudden woke up and you're like, wait a second. I actually don't even know that I want this. Like, I have achieved all these things. Those achievements felt good for like a millisecond until I was like back on the hamster wheel running after the next thing. And looking around now and being like, is this like really the life that I want? Like, as I'm looking to my 40s and my 50s, like, do I still want to be doing this like 10, 20 years from now? And I think that's something that's like unique to high performers. But I think women are experiencing that, millennial women are experiencing that in like a more acute way because there was so much pressure placed on like proving yourself and then realizing like, oh, shoot, like I actually sort of feel like I just want to like quit and like bake sourdough bread for a few years.
Genuinely, I feel like we're in a moment of reckoning for millennial women. And I'm interested to know from your perspective and your experience, what do you typically recommend to women who are going through this in what you're doing now? Like, what applications, what are you seeing most women start to do to manage this or choose differently?
So I think that one of the challenges women face at work that makes this sort of reckoning feel even more scary is being told to fit a very specific set of parameters for success that oftentimes requires you to like bury parts of yourself, leave parts of yourself at the door, maybe embody a personality or traits that like are not natural to who you are. And that is proven to kill your confidence. It is like lack of integrity. This idea of like who you are inside is who you show on the outside. Like many of us in corporate cultures like struggle with that, but especially women. That if you do something in a slightly wrong way, you're going to come off as aggressive or unlikable. And so constantly overthinking the way that you're showing up is, you know, also fueling that lack, like sort of fear and confidence and like harm to your confidence. So one of the first things that I like to talk to women about is like recognizing that sort of insecurity and that sort of fear that you have and how you're showing up and how you're being perceived and sort of overthinking that perception. That's not something wrong with you. That was conditioned in you. You were taught to do that. And starting to recognize that you can test that a little bit and make a choice that I'm actually going to choose respect over likability. I'm comfortable with people not liking me, and I'm going to prioritize like being here to do my job well, make an impact, and build respect and trust with the people that I work with. And if you like think that I laugh too loud or like I said that too directly and you have, you know, mean things to say about me behind my back, I could care less. So that's kind of like step one. And for me, it was a game changer in my career to just be like, I have developed this skill of people really not liking me and criticizing me and complaining about me. And I am 1000% fine with it. Like, good for you. You don't like me. You're inconsequential in my career.
That is so
Oh my God, I love
powerful.
it.
But like, how do you do that? Like I'm working on it. It's definitely something in like my path right now that I have to do, but I have no idea how to like turn that off, how to not take things personally and almost detach from what other people perceive of me. Like, how do you go about doing that?
Well, and we've talked about this too. Like, how do you do that consistently?
Yeah.
Because we have moments where you do feel like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to be myself and I'm going to be direct. And my, you know, male counterpart can do this. Like, why can't I type thing? But then I have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious. I can't do this. So yeah. How do you build that muscle and try to use it consistently?
So I think the first thing is just like getting very real with like who actually matters. Because there are certain people that like you do need to really cultivate that relationship and you need to really index on the way that they perceive you to like advance in your career. So I think it's like who actually matters to my success and career advancement? Who is deciding whether I'm doing a good job or not in a way that actually affects my bonus and my pay? Who actually matters in terms of my promotion decisions, and like make the short list for yourself. Like, these are the people who matter. These are the people who I'm going to spend my energy and attention on. And for everybody else, I'm going to be a basic good citizen. I am going to hold myself to professional standards. I am going to do a great job and focus on my impact, but I am not going to spend my mental energy worrying about people in the cheap seats feeling like I had the wrong outfit on or said something weird to them on Slack that like ruffled their feathers. I'm just not going to spend time on it. And I think that just having that focus of who matters and like choosing to let all the other stuff go is really, really helpful. And I think number two, anything that you find yourself getting distracted by that sort of pulls you into that like overthinking cycle. I hear from literally every single woman that I work with, and I work with thousands of women and men. Every single one of them gets sharp comments in their 360 reviews that like just send them for months. They overthink and swirl and swirl. And I'm like, don't even look at your 360 reviews. Like, literally don't look. Just don't pay attention to it. Ask your boss to tell you if there's anything thematic that you should be focused on. Otherwise, disregard. And that is something that ruffles people's feathers when I say that, but I'm like, who cares? Like the purpose of it is for your development. If it's making you like swirl on people in the cheap seats that don't have the confidence to talk to you to your face, then like, who cares?
I just am obsessed with you. And this is so topical. No, it truly, I'm so interested because the people that are in the cheap seats, or not even people in the cheap seats, particularly younger generations who are entering the workforce, who I think get a rep around taking things personally or just moving to a very different beat than millennials and Gen X and people before them, who often I find take things quite personally or interpret things differently. What advice are you working with those people, and what advice do you give them in sort of giving themselves the space to move up and be on the opposite side of that equation?
So amazing question. And I think that there is a like frame around this that we need to set before I even answer it. The rising workforce, like Gen Z, is being disproportionately affected by layoffs and staff actions.
Yeah.
They are literally losing their jobs at like a statistically significant rate that is concerning. And I think that a huge reason for that is they are not getting the development they need to thrive in the real world because so many people are afraid of making them uncomfortable and hurting their feelings. And it's like, recognizing that there is a way to help people grow in their careers and get better without crushing their self-esteem that motivates them and builds engagement. But I think we are sort of in this cultural moment where there's this weird narrative about like the toxic villain boss and the like poor, sad, downtrodden individual contributor who has been victimized. And it's just not helping anybody. So I think it's like, first get real, like that narrative is not helping. Don't take advice from people who perpetuate that narrative. And then think about like, if you are Gen Z and you want to like build your career, you want to make real money, you want to be successful, think about like, how can you learn from the people around you day in and day out? Where are their leaders that you respect and can go out of your way to like get guidance from those people and like audit where you're getting your information from, because it can be very easy to believe the way to get ahead is to just like constantly be talking about your needs.
No, it's literally so true though. And I think it's good that you raised the point of like what the environment is for that generation right now, because you're not wrong. And I think that even further to that, AI is not helping. I mean, we've had the conversation previously where AI is almost getting rid of all of the beginners and taking away the chance to have entry-level jobs or, you know, just be bad at something. The expectations are so high. So that's a really good reframe even for me as a leader to take a step back and be like, wait a second, this isn't even the same level playing field that maybe we entered the workforce in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it also reminds me of, we're talking a lot about TikTok today, but those TikToks that are like your millennial manager. And it's like, you know, a close up of them like chewing gum, like swirling their hair, being like, I haven't had a chance to read that thing. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's like, I haven't had a chance to read that thing, but like, why don't you walk me through it? Or like, oh, like you basically they're frazzled is I think the crux of it. And I never really stopped. I stopped to be like, yeah, I'm probably that person sometimes, but I never stopped to be like, why am I that person? And I think that's why your content is really resonating. And I want to kind of, oh my God, I just wanted to use a really corporate word, which is like double click into, which actually makes me feel sick. But I wanted to like dig into that a little bit. This idea of like leaders being villainized and how you're seeing that play out, both like on the Gen Z side, but like in your conversations with millennials and other people that you're coaching. Like, what does that look like?
So I think that there are sort of two things driving it. This is based on my anecdotal observations, not on any research. But I think that like millennials grew up at the start of their careers in a more traditional world of work that started rapidly changing and experienced a lot of pain, right? I think that a lot of people went through multiple job changes, layoffs, like just like the stress of building your career in a tumultuous environment when you graduated expecting relative stability. And ended up having a belief of like, I'm oftentimes working for bad bosses. And when I become a boss, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to take care of my team's well-being. I'm going to be beloved as a leader. And like, I will know exactly how to do that. And then as millennials started getting into sort of middle management, I think there was like this like wave of reality that as much as you care about your team and their well-being and want to empathize and be kind and be liked, that leading with that does not translate into generating business outcomes. That you really have to think differently as a leader to move people in a direction that creates results. And figuring out how to balance that and like navigate that, I think, does not have a playbook behind it. And then you've got social media recording people in feedback conversations, villainizing archetypes. There are certainly toxic bosses. We've all worked for somebody like that and we know what it feels like. But I think it's just created this sort of narrative that like makes you feel like if your team doesn't absolutely love you, and if you've gotten one bad 360 review, you are toxic and just not cut out for it. And it's not true.
Yeah, I think that's so spot on. Like I couldn't have nodded more than when you said you thought you could be a different type of manager and like a more empathetic type of manager, a kinder manager. And I've been through a little bit of that. Like I was management was like not a choice because I worked for startups for so long, but it was kind of like sprung on me of just like, okay, you're now going to be a people manager. And I was still very young and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this differently. And I've really had to try and rewire the way that I understand I'm doing a good job trying to move away from being liked to being respected, which kind of brings us back to the beginning of the conversation. Nicole, are you okay if I move to a slightly different topic? Okay, cool.
Of course.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your time at Deloitte because you talked about it wasn't just a me thing or a you thing, you know, the things that you were experiencing. Like, what were some of those things that you were feeling like you had to push down or change about yourself? Things that were making you think, oh, wow, there's really something in this and I should launch Growth Inc.
Yeah. So I consider myself like a creative who ended up in a corporate career. So I felt many times in my career, and I don't think it's just like a Deloitte thing. I think in corporate, generally speaking, this can be an experience that I was like cultivating like writing projects. I like pitched and started writing for Refinery 29 and was like blogging and doing these things on the side of like a very serious corporate job. And I would be like in my black suit flying to my client site. And I remember having these like moments of terror that like, they're going to find out that I like wrote about fashion for Refinery 29 and feel like I am stupid and not value added and they're going to just fire me. So there was like parts of this that were just like having a life outside of work that had anything beyond, that had to do with anything beyond having a child and a family or sports was like absolutely frivolous, stupid, not serious, and could get you fired. And then I started realizing I'm like, oh, like I have like plenty of friends at Deloitte who are men that like golf and gamble and like are in bands that like play like grunge on the weekends. Like, why am I so ashamed of like writing about like fashion for Refinery 29? In fact, like I should be impressed that they like took me on as a freelancer. You know what I mean? So it's like that sort of stuff of like your interest outside of work being like stupid and frivolous. And then realizing actually it's just like women's interests that are stupid and frivolous that we're not accepting of. And then I think the concept of like professionalism, that every single woman who I've ever talked to about this relates to this, which is like what is professional is don't show emotion, be very tightly controlled, do not laugh too loud, do not tell jokes, basically don't stand out, like be a smaller, safer version of yourself at all times. And if you let your personality slip out around the wrong people, you know, beware. And that was something that I really struggled with because it took me like a lot of energy to like keep my real self like stuffed deep down inside of myself. And as I started testing that, I realized actually like just letting myself be me, like within a professional context, is actually a differentiator. But that belief definitely came from, I think, like years and years and years of corporate culture telling women like, you don't quite fit. So like, absolutely don't be yourself.
It's so wild that you're saying that too, because maybe about a year and a half ago, I had that same reckoning. And I work in a very male dominated space where I think I went into it thinking, oh, I have to be one of the boys. Like I have to almost like not let that side of myself show. I'm not going to talk about this podcast. I'm not going to talk about my interests outside of, what I'm doing. And when I started almost just leaning into my femininity and leaning into the things that are creative and bring me joy and talking about them more publicly, it's almost like that started to set me apart and get me more opportunities and more respect from some people. And I think that there's this culture, and I'm so impressed specifically working for a company like Deloitte, where there's so many instances we see of, content creators who have worked for these consultancies, who have worked for these big corporates, and basically get told, you have to run all your deals through us or you're gone. And it seems to be something that is exclusively coming down on women. Because I remember I think it was like 6 months ago, there was this whole thing on like finance bros who are finance creators done. And I can't remember exactly what publication. And it was like glorifying all these guys working for like Goldman Sachs and like all these different groups. And they were being celebrated. Why do you think that we're starting to move away from that? Or is there a way that, that's probably question number one. And then question number two is, what advice do you have for women who have all these external passions, who want to have something more than themselves outside of work? Like, what advice do you give to them who are maybe concerned about retaliation or getting fired or not taken seriously?
So the first part of your question is like, is there a gender bias? 1000%. And I could probably talk about that for hours, but there's also the reality of like these major companies, like including Deloitte, having like SEC requirements, compliance requirements, like financial interests of individual employees are like very closely monitored. So like they do have a reason to be like interested and invested in making sure they have the information, they're guiding their employees in the right way. And it is like very fuzzy, poorly defined. Like I think they have a lot of work to do to like get that to be something that is like a fair and equitable system, given the sheer amount of people that are engaging in quote unquote outside activities. But like that aside, to your point around like what advice do I have? I'm actually going to tell you advice that I got and then ignored, that I want every woman to think about. So as I started like building a presence online, I started getting questions about that. People started realizing that. And I had a partner at Deloitte who told me that I needed to shut down my entire like outside of Deloitte like presence, that social media was stupid and dumb, that it was unprofessional, that sharing stuff about yourself online is unprofessional and it would harm my career. And I remember thinking in that moment, like first the little bit of the like heart dropping into your stomach of like someone telling you you've done something wrong. But then like I had gotten to the point of like awareness that at some point there would be questions. Like as I grow, as I become more successful, people are gonna have questions about this and like, how do I want to react? So I had prepared myself enough for like that moment. And I sat there and I looked at this man and I thought to myself, this is not an inspiring person. This person does not embody qualities that I would like to develop in myself. This person just said to me and made me feel something that I would never in a million years say to somebody else. So I reject all of it. And I literally just said, thank you for your perspective. And I just kept doing exactly what I was doing. And then I got invited to speak at his alma mater business school. I am building an entire business outside of that firm, going to make way more money than I ever could there. And I have all of the same organizations that would have tried to hire that type of person from Deloitte, like coming to me in my DMs. So choosing to follow where you are called, investing in the skills that you want to develop in yourself, especially if they cannot be cultivated within your organization. What I am doing now, like that was not cultivated inside of Deloitte. There are pieces of that I'm certainly building on, but it was cultivated by like allowing myself to be a beginner, to learn, to like build some of those skills. And that has created a career that is going to sustain me. Like I know how to build a business now. I can rinse and repeat that till I'm like, on my deathbed if I wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Slow clap. Cole, when I got to chat to Colleen before, like for the pre-call, I was like, do you know that you are like ridiculously articulate? And she was like, yes, I've been told that. And I was like, you are like, it's wild. You're like a podcaster's dream, but that is such good advice. And thank you for sharing, because I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable sort of sharing that. And it leads me to ask the question of, what are the other quote unquote lessons, if you're not watching this, I'm doing fake quotes, that you might have learned let's not say at specifically Deloitte, but like for you, it was Deloitte. For me, it might be a different corporate entity, like lessons that maybe leaders are learning that you coach people to reject or not necessarily take very seriously? Like, are there specific things that you think to yourself, having the experience and maybe a different outlook, that we just don't need to be worried about, specifically as women in middle management?
Yeah, I think the first thing is like having a vision for the type of leader who you need to become to meet the moment in front of you, meet the challenge in front of you. Has actually never been harder, because there are not examples. That like the reason the path in front of you feels unclear is because it is uncharted. And that's true for, I think, almost everyone in today's world of work. But it's also this great gift to really take a step back and look at the people who maybe you've worked with, maybe you just like admire them from afar, like that you view as like people who like are leading something meaningful, that you want to embody those types of qualities or some of those qualities in yourself, and start paying attention to those people and like even jot them down. Like two of my heroes that obviously I don't personally know are Barbara Corcoran and Sarah Blakely. And I'm like, those leaders did not come from my career path. But as I looked at it, I'm like, why am I obsessed with them? Because they have these set of qualities that I would like to embody in myself. So I think that's like one really important piece of advice I would love to give like every woman and anybody in today's workforce. And to stop believing the lie that like just because somebody happens to be an executive at your organization means that they matter in terms of their leadership style, or that you have to act like that in order to be successful. And then there's a second piece, which is like we are working in flatter, more matrixed ways than ever before. And all of the research says that your career opportunities are going to come from people who actually know you. And so I see so many people like fighting with their cross-functional colleagues and like getting mired up in like all the drama. And instead of that, and then by the way, going to like networking conferences because I want to like build my network. So I would say literally just don't worry about building your network at networking conferences. Like I think that's like, if that's like something you genuinely want to do with your time, fine. But like be a no drama llama at work. Make as many friends as you possibly can at your actual workplace, because that is going to statistically improve the amount of opportunities available to you over time. And then lastly, the people who you are growing on your team, investing in them doesn't just matter for your immediate job, because you are likely going to be recruiting and building teams for the remainder of your career. And people wanting to work with you again, you having a reputation as a leader that they respect and trust and would work for again. Not that they want to be your best friend, right? But that they would love to come and follow you to another organization. That is a huge asset in your career that we don't talk about enough.
No, it's so true. It's almost like your reputation internally is so much more valuable and important and often neglected than your reputation in industry or with the wider kind of public.
Yep.
I also love that you brought up Barbara Cochran and Sarah Blakely. Mine is Angela Arendt, who used to be with Burberry and now is with Apple. So I love looking at those kind of women who have different careers to us. And I think it's actually such an important thing to look at women who aren't necessarily, we talked about TikTok a lot, but like aren't always on TikTok, but have built these meaningful careers and different paths to kind of guide us, even if it was a different time. Long-winded response. But I have a question for you right now about that transition as people are moving up, and particularly with middle managers who are moving from being individual contributors to people managers to kind of moving up little by little, but having a harder time maybe letting go of the identity or actually getting away from being individual contributors. It seems like every woman I speak to in particular who is moving up in her career, she's gaining more responsibility, but not necessarily losing the responsibility and the workload in terms of her contributions. It's like we're expecting more from women with less. And you know what, not even just women, just from people in general, I think right now. What advice do you give to leaders that you're coaching who are kind of entering into those moments and fighting this right now?
Okay, I'm gonna actually get really tactical. So my
Please.
advice is get a piece of paper. I'm just gonna do it for you. Get a piece of paper. I want you to draw a 2x2, and let me just write this here. You're gonna label one axis urgent and the other axis important. So it looks like this. Do you see? And then what you're gonna do is I want you to brain dump. You should do this like every Sunday. Brain dump every single thing that is on your mind from a work, from a life perspective onto this 2x2. And be very honest. Like, is this actually urgent? Is this actually important? And anything that is not urgent or important, you are going to put an X through it. You are deleting that from your life permanently. Anything that is truly urgent and important, you are going to say, this needs my white glove support and my attention. This is where I'm spending my time this week. And then anything in these two quadrants, you are going to say, what of these things am I comfortable for it getting like a C plus, maybe even a D, that it's not how I would have done it. It is not perfect, but it's not going to like create a fire drill, tick off an executive. It's going to technically be done. I'm going to be like sort of uncomfortable letting that go, but it's done. And if you start doing that every single week, you are all of a sudden going to get out of the business of like doing everybody's work because you believe it needs to be perfect and that you need to handhold it. And you are going to develop the skill of developing your team, letting them own things, giving yourself more leverage. End of lecture.
You're making Nicole deeply uncomfortable right now.
No, but it's so true. I literally, first of all, I love an Eisenhower matrix, and it's just, I think this week, especially with traveling, it's been a reckoning for myself of like, okay, I have all of this strategic responsibility. I have all of these people that I'm managing, but I also have all of this that I have to manage at the same time. And it's feeling overwhelmed. And you're so right that really just, I have to take the time to brain dump it out, prioritize, delegate and let go, which is not my strong suit, and then go from there.
And I really say, people always say like, oh, like I struggle to delegate. And what I say is actually you lack discernment. And that's can be hard to hear, but like I think discernment is an extremely important skill right now in today's world because the to-do list doesn't get smaller. It's never done. There's always more things. There's always competing priorities and things changing. And discernment is critical as a leader to be able to make a choice of like, I cannot do everything. I have to be discerning about where my energy and attention goes. And I have to then protect that energy and attention so that I can sort of be at highest and best use of my time and be the best steward of the resources of my team. And then be willing to like, let things be owned and done imperfectly by others.
Okay. And then very tactically, how do you build discernment?
You have to practice letting shitty things get out the door and be comfortable with it.
Yeah. Now we've hit Nicole where it hurts. And me, but particularly Nicole.
Yeah, I am an active recovery perfectionist. So it is probably my biggest weakness as a leader is my inability to let something out the door that doesn't feel at least like 80%.
So have you ever heard that C students run the world? Have you heard that
No.
before? So the idea is that like people who like didn't necessarily like kill it and get all A's in school are the ones who are actually like leading businesses and like at the highest levels of leadership. And my theory is that we believe that type A perfectionists create success. That's true when you're an individual contributor. But I think that to be an effective leader, you need to start cultivating your type B because nobody working for somebody who has in their mind exactly how it needs to be done and then doesn't let them like practice and grow and put their own mark on it can really like be led. Does that make sense? It's sort of like when you're leading people, you have to create space for like messiness and you have to create space for imperfection. You have to let people be beginners and sort of fudge their way through it and like understand where you have to correct or maybe white glove so that it's not creating issues versus like where you can just sort of like let it go. And people who are naturally type B are like adept at that. They're like, yeah, that's fine. I don't care about that. And they don't think twice about it.
But this is why what you're doing right now is so important and so relevant is like there is a lack of direction, radical candor in a way for middle managers in a way that is objective enough to not be taken personally, but also relevant enough to know that it is for you as a middle manager.
Yeah. And like also not making it your fault. Like I think so much leadership content is like, you're toxic or like you're stupid and just haven't figured this out versus like objectively speaking, you have gotten to your level of success because of everything you are doing. Like your perfectionism, your tight control over things has literally made you successful. So then to reach a point in your career where it's like, that's now working against me is like a psychological like non-starter. It's like, what are you talking about? No, this makes me successful. I have to double down and do more of this. And starting to recognize that like what got you to where you are today will not get you to where you need to go. You need to make a mindset shift and you need to think about your skills and what success looks like and what you get fulfillment out of in a different way. And nobody really like lays that out for you. And you know, I think the sort of idea that you can suddenly overnight know how to do that, that is just naturally innate inside of you is ridiculous.
No, I couldn't
fully
agree more.
Yeah. I think I know we're running out of time, but I do want to touch a little bit on like because I think the conceit here is that you actually left corporate culture and you started your own company, right? And so what you're doing is really coaching those that are still there. And I wanted to kind of just on like a personal note, like understand how that feels and what it's done for your life. If there are any aspects of it that you miss. I know you mentioned you're a new mom. So yeah, I'm just curious a little on the personal side, like what has that felt like?
Yeah, so I loved Deloitte. It was a great place to build my career. And there's like a version of me that could have just like gone through the partner process and been happy there. I think that having this sort of creative side to me, this entrepreneurial spirit, reaching a point where I was like, quite frankly, like having like Fortune 500 companies DMing me, like executives DMing me on Instagram. And I was like going to compliance people being like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what are the parameters? How do we navigate this? Just recognizing that like I was at a fork in the road. I also, you know, was pregnant with my first child and was like looking around, and I hate to say it this bluntly, but like I didn't see a lot of examples of like mothers who were enjoying the experience, working and like spending the time they wanted to. It took me a long time to get pregnant. I went through like back-to-back pregnancy loss, and I'm like, the only reason I'm doing this and putting myself through this is for the experience. And like the one thing that I want is like total control of my time. So a lot of things happened that sort of put me in that position to be like, all right, like gonna have this baby. I'm gonna give myself a few months of postpartum bubble, and then I'm gonna like jump all in and like see what I can do with this. And it was terrifying, but now looking back on it, I'm like, wow, if I could do that postpartum, where I was like literally crazy for like half that time, I can do anything. Like it's only up from here.
I love that. I think it's so true that, you know, you can recognize maybe where there aren't examples or where there are, and what does that mean for you? And you were able to make that choice and make that jump. And all I can say personally is just like, kudos to you. Like, that's such an amazing thing.
Thank you. I felt insane, and I think I was insane to pretty much everybody who knew me for almost a year, but it worked out.
Well, that's so interesting. Like, when you started posting online, especially postpartum, and really kind of diving in, I'm assuming postpartum more into Growth Inc., what did everyone in your life start to think? Like, were you getting comments more around that?
So when I left Deloitte, I basically was like, I'm pregnant, I'm leaving, I don't know what's next. Like, we're going to see where this goes. Like, I have the foundation of something, but like more to come. And then I sort of just like got massages every week and facials, and like just enjoyed the end of my pregnancy, and like had a good, you know, postpartum, couple months. And then when I ended up being like, okay, I'm going to double down on this, and I'm expanding it from what it started as, and seeing how I can shift what was like opportunistic demand into like a sustainable revenue generating engine. I was like in full experimenter mode of just like, let me like get into the stage of like throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks, like learn by doing. And I had been doing that for enough times in my past to like build things in a creative way that I knew that like the cringe that everybody feels, like that gets judged by family, friends, whatever. And I like literally gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't really care. Like, being cringy has made me exceptionally successful. So like anybody that's like, ew, that's cringe, I would never do that. I'm like, cool, that's why you don't inspire me. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
And that's why you inspire us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, because what we did was cringe, frankly. Like, we started a podcast because we were like, we just want to talk about some of the things that you don't have conversations about when you get together with your girlfriends, but you probably should be having conversations about. And so a lot of our friends were like, sorry, you're starting a podcast together? You know, like it was kind of, it felt cringe, but it's been amazing. And we get to have these types of conversations. So,
and it pays.
yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, I think that people are naturally afraid of like stepping outside of the proven path, because like there are a lot of people that are like fear-based and judgy, and they're going to say things like that to you, right? Because they would never do it. And like, that's fine. Like, if that's how they want to spend their energy, by all means, like, go do your thing. But I think recognizing that anybody that is like growing and building and doing interesting creative work will never judge you for being a beginner, will never judge you for trying, will never judge you for being cringy.
So true.
Because you start to realize, like, if you just push through the cringe and keep going, and remember, like, I'm not doing this for my friends or family. I'm not doing this for people in the cheap seats. I'm doing this because I'm feeling pulled to do it. And if it helps one person, that's enough. And if you can just keep yourself going and get to a point, you will finally get to a point where like your biggest haters are going to start coming to you for advice. And that has happened to me. And it is wild. Wild. Like, my biggest haters hiring me for my help. I have people coming to me now asking for my help starting a business. And I'm like, I just started a business. But like,
Yeah.
it is the top of Cringe Mountain. I don't know if you guys saw the TikTok trend on Cringe Mountain, but like,
Yeah.
the top of Cringe Mountain is like, it is a great view. You just got to keep going.
Oh,
I love that. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. We haven't recorded in so many weeks because we've both been traveling so much. This is our first one back. And like, I feel like I've already been like very girl crushing on you. So I'm going to go even further. This is like giving me life again to like our why. Like, why are we doing the podcast? What makes me so excited? And it's these conversations and talking to people like you who have charted their own paths, who are adding value and helping women and just people in general figure out their next steps, but also do it in a way that's sustainable, engaging, and, you know, releasing them from maybe the confines of what expectations they feel like they should have.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think for you guys on the podcast, I laughed out loud when you reached out to me about the name of the podcast, because it's like, I think that mission of also just being like, what you are going through is like so normal. Like, it is solvable. If you've seen somebody who's been through what you're feeling on the other side of it, then like it is also possible for you to do that. You know, and I think that's what we all need, of just like good influences that remind us that we are not alone. The struggle like is normal, and like you will be fine.
Oh my
All
God,
of the
I'm
best
obsessed
stuff is
with
on
you.
the other side of cringe. I think you're right. It's so true. Colleen, thank you so much. This has been really great. And I want to make sure we plug where people can find you. So if any of this resonated, socials, any course information you want to share, yeah.
We'll
let
put
the
everything in
listeners
show
know.
notes too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So my business Instagram handle is at Growth Incubator. It's the same on TikTok. I'm new to TikTok. I'm just like reposting all the Instagram stuff.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. This was amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to keep sending your TikToks to people very passively and letting your words speak for me.
Amazing. Happy to be of service. Thanks for having
Okay,
me.
bye
Thanks,
guys.
Colleen.
Bye.
Bye.